While people around the world talked about stablecoins, Ethereum gas fees, and Bitcoin ETFs, China quietly played chess in 4 dimensions. What if, behind the scenes of these heated arguments, China was planning the biggest change in power in the history of finance? They might not just be replacing the US dollar, but they might also be creating a whole new digital money kingdom. XRP, a cryptocurrency that many people don't trust, could be the key to making it all work. First, let's be clear, this is not a plot. It's a theory about how to move money around the world that is based on digital currency trends, leaked papers, and Ripple's slow but steady growth in Asia. The digital yuan, also known as China's central bank digital currency, CBDC, is seen by the rest of the world as a Chinese Communist Party project meant to keep power and spy on people. What if it's not that, but what if the digital yuan is just the first move in a much bigger game? XRP will be the only asset used to connect the new world reserve system to the old one. That's the claim going around in some parts of the crypto community, fueled by what are said to be technical papers from the People's Bank of China, PBOC, that show a proposed CBDC interoperability model. It has the XRP system at its center. How could this happen, though? To begin, let us look at the basics. The ECNY, or digital yuan, from China is likely the world's most advanced state bank digital currency. It has already been used in more than 200 million wallets. It has been tried out in real life, from shopping at stores to doing business across borders with Thailand and the UAE. But the digital yuan has a deadly flaw. It's made for centralized control within a country, not for world interoperability. Other countries talk about open source frameworks and working together on blockchain, but China's CBDC war chaos in an environment that is tightly closed and controlled by the government. This style makes Beijing stand out the most, but it makes it very hard for other countries to adopt it. That's where XRP comes in. XRP was never meant to be used instead of real money. Not only that, but it was built to connect them so that any currency anywhere could be sent and settled quickly and safely. It's more than just a cryptocurrency. It's a layer of cash. XRP is also perfect for cross-border interoperability, which is something China lacks. Its payments happen very quickly, 3-5 seconds, it has a high throughput, and it costs almost nothing. Think about being in the People's Bank of China right now. When it comes to central bank digital currency, you've made the best one in the world, but it's stuck inside your own financial borders. You know that the US dollar is still the most important currency. You know that sanctions, dollar clearing, and reserve power are all ways that the dollar is used as a weapon. You want to skip over that. You don't want to go through the US-controlled banking system at all. You want to be in charge, though. You don't want people to be able to trade the digital yuan. Bitcoin, you need rules, the ability to audit and trust, but you also need a way for your CBDC to connect to other national currencies without going through US banks. You look at the scenery, Ethereum costs a lot and moves too slowly. BTC changes too much. Coins that are stable are the US's private networks are not yet proven to work, but XRP, more than 300 banks around the world already use XRP. It was made for institutional use. It has pools of cash in all the major currencies, and rules can be set up so that it can be used across borders. This is where the idea comes in. Around the middle of 2025, what were said to be PBOC papers started going around on Chinese forums. These technical white papers, which have been translated by different crypto experts, seem to describe a way for different cryptocurrencies to work together using a public blockchain with permissions and a bridge asset that can be used to buy and sell cryptocurrencies. Even though XRP wasn't mentioned by name in every part, known RippleNet workflows were shown in a number of diagrams. One graph even showed a 3-party CBDC deal with a central ledger layer that looked like the XRP ledger's layout. Could it be that these papers are fake? Of course, they've never been checked out. The real question, though, is whether they make sense. We need to really look at how China plays the game to understand that. China doesn't say what its plans are, it makes it happen. They started the Belt and Road Initiative in 2013. It is a huge trade and building project that goes from Asia to Europe and Africa. By 2020, they were using yuan to write debt contracts. They began trying digital currency that could be used across borders with other Asian central banks in 2021. In 2022, they started Enbridge, a testbed for multiple CBCs with the Bank for International Settlements. The plan move as forward quietly every year. If the next step in this plan is to connect the digital yuan to trade around the world without using SWIFT or the dollar, then XRP is the best tool for the job. Take a look at the numbers. The M2 money supply in China is now over $40 trillion. This is the total amount of money in circulation in their economy. There's more there than the GDP of both the US and the EU put together. If just 5% of that value moves through XRP-based settlement lines in the next 10 years, that's 2 trillion in cross-border flow every year. There are 100 billion XRP tokens available at most. Some of them are out there, though. Let's say that 50 billion can be bought on the market. That means XRP would have to be able to handle over $5.4 billion every day or $2 trillion every year. The need for funding would go through the roof if XRP became the global bridge for China's CBDC and maybe other CBDCs joining Enbridge. In fiat systems, new money can be printed at will, but the amount of XRP is limited. In other words, the price has to go up to match the usefulness, and the price goes up as more value flows through the system. Imagine for a moment that XRP is held as a reserve by government banks and state-owned businesses, not as theory, but as building blocks. Countries could hold XRP to back up payment flows in the same way they used to hold gold to back up their currency. XRP is more than just an asset in that case. It turns into digital infrastructure, an important part of the world's financial system. A $400,000 XRP is not just news in this case, it's also true. How would that world look? The US dollar stops being a reserve currency, but it doesn't happen all at once. It happens over time. SWIFT stands out. Countries deal with each other using digital currencies that are linked by a neutral bridge like XRPL. The IMF puts together a group of digital currencies called the ESDR, and XRP is one of them. On-demand liquidity from Ripple becomes normal for trade between countries. China gets power around the world without having to completely replace the dollar. Small investors who saw the vision early on and held XRP also benefit from a financial system change that has never been seen before in modern history. Let's take a short break now. This isn't a promise. There is no proof that XRP is part of China's plan. There are risks, crackdowns by regulators, competing technologies, and pushback from nationalists. China might come up with its own bridge tech. The Ripple may not work out. XRP's price might stay the same. But think about this. Are you ready if even 10% of this situation comes true? A lot of the time, crypto buyers look for hype coins, altcoin pumps, and NFT flips. What's going on behind the scenes is more important, though. The central bank is not betting. They are carefully and strategically making plans, and more, they are turning to networks that are already in place to help them solve their problems. Banks in Asia, the Middle East, Europe, and Africa have already teamed up with Ripple. They have tried out digital currency tests from central banks. They have taken part in policy meetings. They are built into the core infrastructure of the banking system. That doesn't just happen. Now, what do? In a financial Cold War, the US wants to keep its hold on power through the dollar and its institutions. China wants to skip the whole system and build its own tracks instead. XRP and Ripple are in the middle and give both sides. That's why this idea is important, not because it promises a moonshot, but because it shows how important it is. No longer will it matter who has the most money. It will matter who controls the flow of money, the rules, the bridges, and the trains. The next world reserve system might not be a single currency. Instead, it could be a web, an open digital system that works with other systems. To make that happen, XRP doesn't have to win. It only has to be the bridge. Before you read any further, you should know that we're not just keeping an eye on the markets. Money has changed over time. It started on paper, then moved to plastic, then to digital, and now it's going autonomous. XRP could be the next thing that connects those two things. What are you going to do? China already has one, though. This is a deep dive into one of the most controversial and explosive financial ideas in the world of crypto. Thank you for watching. No matter how much you believe it, the fact that China could use XRP to spread its digital currency around the world is too important to ignore. Click like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below with your ideas if it made you think or challenged your point of view. Does XRP seem like a way for China to connect to the digital world, or is this just a good guess? Wait for the news to tell you about the future's infrastructure after the fact. It's already being built in secret and out of sight. XRP could be the key to it all. See you in the next one.